Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news on topics. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. The forefathers of Amazonia in one politicians and political growth were mistaken that associating with the La Republic to Cameroon government would be beneficial to Southern Cameroon. But as it's the marginalization and neglect of Amazonia should only be shocking to a man who just gained sight for the first time. The stalemate, economic and social backward continuously experienced by Amazonians are as a result of yesterday's attempt of trying to belong. Trying to belong right now is a misplaced priority because even La Republique du Cameroon knows that Amazonians do not belong with them. That is why you see them authorize people like Chief Moja Moja to categorically hunt down and kill anyone who identifies with Amazon or as Amazonia. In 1 year, Chief Moja Moja, member of the La Republique du Cameroon military, has been identified as a perpetrator of at least 7 different acts of torture and ill treatment southern zone of Cameroon, southern Amazonia. Sponsored acts of the occupational Chief Moja Moja collect human rights and extremity. In Colonial Yaoundé, his employers watch with tacit complicity because he is indeed doing it. It is one to have a bad, but it is to be unaccepted and marginalized. Tonight, we'll see how the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, CHRDA, and the World Organization Against Torture, OMCT, steps in trying to cut out these externalities against the southern Cameroon's Amazonia. And with this, full briefings with the prime headlines.
For today we'll start with the story. Amazonia spend more time than 2 shortage courts. Can the African Union for Public the Cameroon occupational forces from Amazonia election will be today, and hopefully an answer will be given. Francophones have dialogued with southern Cameroonians who they consider as slaves. Isn't that interesting? As rigs being used for ritual festive seasons are rare. Chief Moja Moja beat human violation records. You want to know that record? Or well, you get it tonight. A driver killed the blaze men in our Saturday. Are not part of Cameroon. That should sink in, so there is no need for striving to belong. And in sports, Germany players cover mouths in protest against FIFA on free speech in One Love and Bad Role.
The media greatly emphasizes they inform people about what is it permeates lives by creating their own criterions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They cultural genocide long decades, but not in this age and not with an ABC Amber News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution and arm for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among strategies, weaponized the media for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Amazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 92, Amazonians were slaughtered numbers and help was not fortified because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The goods, we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amber TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with Undaunted and other programs until
money to win the media war by taking Amber TV into every multi platform.
Where the storytelling can never be overemphasized, Amazonians has to tell her own story the other way round.
And like we say it always, Amazonia made her story. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambertv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
When you click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was it. You're welcome on board.
And thank you for the winning team.
The people of southern Cameroon's Amazonia are having another problem to deal with. Well, this is lacking, or let's say the gradual disappearance of coins from circulation. The economy of southern Cameroon is barely surviving as a result of the devastating effect of the ongoing war that is 5 years now and counting, or let's just say 6 years and counting at once. The hard-working ability of southern Cameroonians have been tested within the promise with the only surviving companies in Cameroons, though crippled and handicapped by the absence of farm-to-market roads, food is still not any problem. Southern Cameroons can boost at least 2 square meals a day. Notice the shortage in circulation of coins, which is making action in Amazonia difficult. Undaunted decided to take to the streets to find out how Amazonians are coping. The question today is, where are the coins? Today is going to be a full day as we have lots of report for you. That's smart.
Good evening, fellow Amazonians. You can be having money yet still be unable to goods you desire. You can still have with you and still walk because or urban cabs and commercial motorbike riders deny riding you to your destiny, all destined because of a shortage of coin. Now, Undaunted gathers from the men why the cost of living is really high, away from the increasing prices of basic commodities, that is making living a very big problem. Absence of coins has been identified as another indicator for the costly living condition in Amazonia. A journalist called Che, not his real name, explains his morning hours of Tuesday, November 22nd. He is losing a lot to one of the communication networks in Amazonia. He says, I got up this having some coins I reserved during the week to ease my movement today. I strive to have some coins in my keep before going to bed every night, but I surrendered that which I had today for my school going kit. What was left with me was just banknotes, and the least being of 2,000 francs. Later realized that I was rather running late with an interview I had to conduct at City Chemist Roundabout. I had wasted about 20 minutes out at Cowboy Junction in Gongam to secure a commercial motorbike, and the bikes won't go with me just because they do not have coins to balance me after arriving at my destination. Now, the only option left was to get a bike that is willing to be paid through phone money transfer. I finally have one that accepted only if I will pay him with charges, accepting to take me 450 francs CFA. I finally did a money transfer for an additional 100 francs CFA for withdrawal charges. Not only did I pay the company deducted transaction charges as well. This is how I ended up spending more. This is the stress Jay went because he had no coins, the change, and the bike riders as well had no coins to make up the balance of the 2 francs CFA he had.
Undaunted equally stopped over the counter of a lady at the Bamenda food market selling provisions. This Undaunted reporter gave this lady a note of 1,000 francs CFA requesting for 2 cubes of soup. This woman was able to reimburse 300 francs CFA with ease. When asked why she has coins while others are complaining of shortage of coins, she confessed that the church is making it easier for her. Now, this is her confession. She says, Mr. Journalist, though I am having coins now, it doesn't mean that the issue of coins is not a big problem. Many times, my customers will leave my shop without patronizing me just because they have banknotes and I lack coins to balance them. She explained that it is frustrating for her, and sometimes she experiences bad and time just to lose the next buyer because of the lack of coins. But at the beginning of the week, like today, she said, I always have coin. My son is a deacon in my church, kills me coins from church offerings every Sunday. I would say it is a privilege because many need coins but lack this opportunity I have.
Well, Undaunted ended the Tuesday, November 2nd, 2022, our city taxi, and indeed taxi drivers are just to have enough coins and benefiting from those carrying banknotes in the Mender, as opined this taxi driver. He says, do not take a normal fare from a passenger who has a banknote. You would need to pay a little higher for my coins to pay with the banknote. Though them pay more to be able to get their balance, it is not in carrying coins since I need the coins so badly. Also, we will happily transport a passenger who is paying low with coins. This is how life in Bamenda is. As a result of shortage of coins, accusing fingers are pointing to the fact that China is the reason behind the scarcity. Chinese business magnates ferry this coin production of jewelry, and not single-handedly confirm this allegation still.
Right now, following the 16th extraordinary session of the Assembly Heads of State and Government Union that held in Malabo on the 28th of May 2020, a mini summit on peace and security in the Eastern region, the Democratic Republic of Congo (DRC), was held on the 23rd of May 2022 in Rwanda, Republic of Angola, in which they expressed their concerns about the first one, the worsening insecurity and persistent military action of the M23. What is M23? M23 is a military group based in
What would have been said of me if you didn't hold my hand? Now I've come to realize that you are all I have. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. I'll put you in front of my melody. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. I'll make room for two. You and I, Jesus. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. Is it the house or is it the car? I'll give it all to you. Is it the name or is it the fame? I am nothing without you. What would have been said of me if I didn't see your light? What would have become of me if you didn't hold my hand? Now I've come to realize that you are all I have. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. I'll put you in front of my melody. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. I'll make room for two. You and I, Jesus. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. Oh, oh, you are all that matters. Oh, oh, you are all that matters. Oh, oh, you are all that matters. Oh, you are all that matters. Is it the house or is it the car? I'll give it all to you. Is it the name or is it the fame? I am nothing without you. What would have become of me if I didn't see your light? What would have been said of me if you didn't hold my hand? Now I've come to realize that you are all I have. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. Oh, 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 you are all that matters. I'll put you in front of my melody. You are all that matters. You are all that matters. I'll make room for two. You and I, Jesus. You are all that matters. You are all that matters.
Truth for the talk, it be accepted. So me I go continue for talk. Even if it no be accepted, I know say the truth will surely prevail. Different kind people the way they carry gun. Different people. Some people the way they carry gun, they call them a rebel. They call them militia. So one the way they carry gun, they call them security guard. Some people they carry gun, they call them armed men, like criminal, they call them armed men, gunmen. Some people they carry gun, they be well armed, they call them terrorists. But some other people they carry gun, they call them soldier. You know the difference? A soldier na a person where he be legally authorized by the state for carry gun on behalf of the state to defend the state, to defend the nation, defend the people. May I tell you again, a soldier na somebody where he be legally authorized by the state to work for the state, to carry gun and to defend the state, the sovereignty of the state. Na soldier that. So legally speaking, na soldier man, na he get the legal right for carry arms. You see him for you know, ask you say show me license. If you see soldier for road, he carry gun, he say show me license for that gun. The uniform we wear them, the government will carry for head, na license that. He be authorized for carry gun. Because if they work as an agent of the state, the good thing we don't happen for Ambazonia na say, we don't restore our independence. Therefore, we are a country. We don't restore our government. Therefore, we also have a government like any other country. Therefore, the people, the way they carry gun in our various communities to defend the cause of this government, to defend our people and defend our nation, are known as soldiers. We be Ambazonia soldiers because soldiers belong to the state. Soldiers no belong to individual. Soldier no belong to some company, to some money organization. Soldier belong to the state. If I tell you, say, that man son a soldier for Ghana, this other man son a soldier for Niger, or that man son a soldier for Egypt, which is the thing for your head? Say he work for some company, say he work for some man, or he work for government. How Ambazonia will be different? May I tell you one thing? One of the reasons why international community it don't hook them for neck, they don't feel call any owner, any of our ARFs and fighters on the ground, they don't feel call una, say una be terrorists. If una do the correct thing, now because you are legally, you are legitimate. That means legally you get the right for carry arms. Why? Because your government says you should carry them. Because you get a government. Any man where they carry gun, where you know they carry them under a government, they call that person a rebel. They call that person a criminal. If you come after that person anyhow, because not only the government, if it license you as a soldier, and then you carry the gun on behalf of the government, and you be called a soldier. Yes, that is it. When you decide, say you don't want to fight under the government, may I tell you what did happen? You did tell the world, say, you are not a soldier, because we not get the government. You are just a gunman. You be just a rebel. You be just probably a criminal. Because any man will hold gun will not be under any authority if he do them anyhow. The reason why they expect a soldier for carry gun, now because that soldier is there under authority. You know, if you talk to many people, they call gun, carry any army, everybody carry your own gun, goes form your own company, make your own group, put your own name, carry your own gun, and they know they under any authority. Anybody with the carry gun, it must be under the discipline of governmental authority. Otherwise, those are not soldiers. The number one law for soldier work, not discipline. Discipline means you there under authority. The reason why the international community you never call any of our fighters, any of our ARFs, say they be terrorists or they be this and that. Like the public don't try so they don't tire. Now because we have a government, and as a government, until the day where they go tell this IG, say, we no get right, na lie. There was no resolution 1608, na lie. We no be a sovereign nation. We no don't be a government by yourself. Na lie, we not agree with una. That is when they go question who are those carrying arms on behalf of this government. Whereas now, carry your gun, do what the government says, be under the authority as is required in every nation, and do the right thing. Make no man no try for own you, because that is organized criminality. I not talk say, no, you can't be some money boy. No. Or may you come for IG, no, make you boy. No. Carry that gun with the authority of the nation. behind you and do the right thing. The government no dey take away anything from you. Instead, it dey give you legality to carry that gun. As a soldier, not as an armed person or militia or rebel. Rebel say the rebel who? Rebel now in forces inside a country where they fight against a government way inside that country. We are a separate country with its own soldiers. We are not rebels. So we get to be under our own government in our own country. Some of these things, they might just talk because I want to make them be on record. You know, some talk the way that when man they talk they make sense. After it don't pass, then some people they go to find them, say, who said that talk the way that man be talk? Because in that time where the truth for the talk, it be accepted.
Until dusk shall turn to dawn, Ambazonia shall move on. This is the mandate to this generation. I woke up in the morning, and the sun was high on the mooring at the furthest end of the horizon. Its brilliance displayed as one ready for a new ride. I was mystified. Off like a gazelle, I ran to my daddy to ask for the reason why the sun keeps his course, and so does nature. Tata, how does the sun glide from behind the mountain to the furthest end of the sea and does not fail? Regularity and precision seem combined to deliver. But can the sun resist to take its turn? Can it desist and utter no for the expected yes? I waited for the response that set the tune to my life as Daddy looked into my eyes. That day I learned how strong brotherhood can emerge and persist. He said, let go of the ego, the me. Move on in unison, the we. For there lies the secret of growth. With fingers pointing to the sea, my father said, the world, my child, never gets stuck. It moves on like the rhythm of the waves in a harmonious and faithful interlock. The elements merging like a sacred lock to gracefully attain the bulk. This is our lot. If community building be our aim, a newly built country our goal, then Ambazonians, go, be caught up in this silent rhythmic parade like nature. There is no life without change, but the will to change is the challenge. Absorbed in your creator, your mind, no less than your spirit, must seek, adjust, and listen, as if all depended on the missing particle that your neighbor holds. Growth comes with letting go, picking up, attending, and heeding to form the whole. No bond thrives where attention is denied. Ideas do not flourish at the fringes of the vision. Nature's will refuses to roll where discordant notes unfold. The new is born. When concepts are refined, positions changed, and growth allowed to ripen like a passion fruit that bursts out for all to enjoy. Our freedom is at stake. Our people look to us with haggard faces. Night and day, they plead with our brotherhood to be the ladder that lends height to their aspirations to pluck their sovereignty. A fragile but hopeful people at home front look to you to keep your side of the contract sealed in their own blood. There is no one else but you to help them. Life is unity, work in harmony. The minister can be ministered to. The soldier can march in unison with the applauding crowd and the rhythm of the band while heeding the command of the leader. Amazonians, let go of the fetters that bind your minds. Heed not the discordant notes that tear your lives. Be liberated to liberate. This is the battle for life, for a people. Our story is skillfully woven into the mosaic of history, where each piece tears its part to complete the whole. Yea, always in harmony, in harmonious rhythm with the others. Like heart beats and the brain captures every signal of the body. Friends, hold the hand of your brother and sister and walk in the tempo of your people. I saw the toad stuck in the rock. It died. The food stuck in the throat. He died. Blood.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best.
All right, sincerest apologies for that breaking transmission. We sincerely apologize. But right about now, we'll take the news all from the beginning to give you a great feel. Welcome back to Undaunted. Well, today on Undaunted, we started the news by telling you that the people of Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, are having another problem to deal with. Now, that problem is lacking, or let's say the gradual disappearance of coins from circulation. Now, the economy of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia is barely surviving as a result of the devastating effects of the ongoing war that is 5 years now and counting. The hardworking ability of Southern Cameroonians have been tested with this period of crossing over the promised land, with the only surviving company in Southern Cameroon. Though crippled and handicapped by the absence of farm to market roads, food is still not any problem. Southern Cameroons can boost at least 2 square meals a day. Notice the shortage in circulation of coins, which is making daily transactions in Ambazonia difficult. Undaunted decided to take to the streets to find out how Ambazonians are coping. And the question we are asking today is, where are the coins? Today is going to be a full day, just like I promised you earlier. We have lots of report for you, but Star Smart is here as always. Good evening, Star.
Good evening, Oni, and good evening, fellow Ambazonians. Well, you can be having money yet still unable to get the goods you desire. You can still be unable to get the goods you desire if you have money, and you can still track if you have money, because transporters or urban cabs and commercial motorbike riders deny riding you to your destination, and all because of a shortage of coins. While Undaunted is gathered from Bamenda inhabitants why the cost of living is high, away from the increasing price of basic commodities that is making living a problem, absence of coins have been identified as another indicator for the costly living condition in Amazonia. A journalist called Che, not his real name, explains his morning hours of Tuesday, November 22nd. He is losing a lot to one of the communication networks in Amazonia. He says, I got up this morning having some coins I reserved during the weekend to ease my movement today. I strive to have some coins in my keep before going to bed every night, but I surrendered that which I had today for my school-going kids. What was left with me were just banknotes, and the least banknote was 2,000 francs CFA. I later realized that I was rather running late with an interview I had to conduct at City Chemist Roundabout. I had wasted about 20 minutes at Cowboy Junction. Ngomgam, still struggling to secure a commercial motorbike, the bikes would go with me just because they do not have coins to balance me after arriving at my destination. The only option left was to get a bike that is willing to be paid through phone money transfer. I finally have one that accepted only if I will pay with charges included and accepted to take me for 250 francs CFA. I finally did a money transfer for an additional francs CFA of 100 for withdrawal charges. That's about 350 francs CFA in total. And not only did I pay for the withdrawal fee, the network company deducted transaction charges as well. This is how I ended up spending more. Now, this is the stress Jay went through just because he had no coins, and the bike riders as well had no coins to make up the balance of the 2,000 francs CFA he had with him.
Now, Undaunted equally stopped over the counter of a lady at the Bamenda food market selling provisions. This Undaunted reporter gave this lady a note of 1,000 francs CFA requesting for 2 cubes of soap. This woman was able to reimburse 300 francs CFA with ease. When asked why she has coins while others are complaining of shortage of coins, she confessed that the church is making it easier for her. She goes on to say, Mr. Journalist, though I am having coins now, it doesn't mean that the issue of coin is not a big problem. Many times my customer will leave my shop without patronizing me just because they have banknotes and I lack coins to balance them. She goes on to say it is frustrating experience and sometimes a bad business time just to lose the next buyer because of lack of coins. But at the beginning of the week, like today, she explains, I always have coins. She says, my son is a deacon in my church. He always secures me coins from church offerings every Sunday. I would say it is a privilege because many need coins but lack this opportunity I have.
Now, Undaunted ended the tour of Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022, on board a city taxi. And indeed, taxi drivers are losing just to have coins and benefiting from those carrying banknotes in Bamenda, as opined this taxi driver. He says, I will not take a normal fare from a passenger who has a banknote. You will need to pay a little higher for me to give you my coins when you have to pay with a banknote. Those who carry with them pay more to be able to get their balance. It is not the case with the person carrying coins. Since I need the coins so badly or so, we will happily transport a passenger who is paying low with coins. Now, this is how life in Bamenda is as a result of shortage of coins. Accusing fingers are pointing to the fact that China is the reason behind the scarcity. Chinese business magnates ferry these coins to their country for the production of jewelries is accused, but Undaunted cannot single-handedly confirm this allegation.
All right, following the 16th extraordinary session of the Assembly of African Heads of State and Governments of the African Union that held in Malabo on the 28th of May 2022, a mini summit on peace and security in the eastern region of the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC was held on the 23rd of November 2020 in Luanda, Republic of Angola, during which they expressed their concerns about the first is the worsening insecurity and persistent military actions of the M23. Now, M23 is a rebel military group based in eastern areas of the Democratic Republic of the Congo DRC, mainly operating in the province of the North Kivu.
Now, the acquisition by the M23 of increasingly sophisticated weapons and other means to carry out attacks against the forces Arms de la République Democratique du Congo, FADRC, and the persistence of negative and terrorist forces in the eastern region of the DRC, which constitutes a threat to peace, security, and stability in the sub-region. With his far-reaching decisions within the Luanda and Nairobi, processes were taken to end hostilities in the sub-region.
All right, now what bothers Undaunted is that since dictator Biya declared a senseless war on the Amazonian people in November 2017, which has been raging on for 6 years and counting, a useless war that has claimed over 50,000 innocent lives, set millions on involuntary exile as refugees, burnt down over 600 houses and 500 villages. Many Amazonians missing and unaccounted for, with hundreds in jail across Amazonia and La Republic du Cameroon with this genocidal record. What is the world waiting for? What is the African Union waiting for? To take the bull by the horn for colonial occupier La Republic du Cameroon to evacuate Ambazonia with its troops.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
Like President Sako said, colonial and genocidal French Cameroon has never dialogued with the Southern Cameroonians, nor have they ever accepted any proposal made by Southern Cameroonians Ambazonia because to them, Southern Cameroonians are their slaves and must be treated as such.
Every time colonial and genocidal Francophones have pretended to dialogue with Southern Cameroonians, it has been to force down the throats of Southern Cameroonians who they consider as their slaves, their agenda for the annihilation of the identity and territorial integrity of the Southern Cameroons. This is exactly what the Anglophone slaves gathered in Canada have been told to do: surrender the Southern Cameroons one more time to perpetual colonization and enslavement under colonial and genocidal French Cameroon.
Now, Elangwe Joseph is asking, how on earth will some Anglophones have the opportunity to free themselves from over 60 years of colonial enslavement and barbarism, yet they continue to beg to live as slaves to these genocidal Francophones? This is what is called, in his word, witchcraft.
Human rights abuses is no news in Southern Cameroon's Amazonia, while Chief Moja Moja continues to violate human rights in extremity, and the colonial Yaoundé, his employers, watch with tacit complicity, running through a few atrocities he perpetrated. This year alone so far, he has committed 7 acts of human debasement upon fellow human beings. He has grilled at least 11 people in his torture chambers under the watchful eyes of genocidal Yaoundé, his employers. He is a chief and does these under the watchful eyes of other traditional authorities. Moja Moja is a supposed law and order officer recruited by La Republic du Cameroon, probably for such functions as he who pays the piper dictates the tune. His roadmap is to displease fellow Amazonians and please the colonizer genocidal La Republic du Cameroon.
Undaunted has gathered that only in 1 year, Chief Ewume John, member of the La Republic du Cameroon military, has been identified as a perpetrator of at least 7 different acts of torture and other forms of ill treatment on 11 men in different areas of the southern zone, and that the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, CHRDA, and the World Organization Against Torture, OMCT, have documented these acts and intend to refer them to the United Nations Committee Against Torture if these cases are not investigated and prosecuted. The so-called Chief Ewume John, also commonly known as Chief Moja Moja, is both a soldier of the colonial army and the traditional authority of Boassa village in Boya local government area.
Worthy to know that the entire Amazonia has been marred by continuous human rights violations in an ongoing war between the colonial security forces and Amazonian restoration forces fighting for the recognition of their statehood. Now, Chief Ewume John has used his position to systematically arrest and torture civilians, which he tags as restoration fighters. On 6 November 2022, Chief Ewume John arbitrarily arrested 2 men, Kenna Pascal, Kum and Zhang, Emmanuel Bu, members of the Christ Embassy Church at Bongo Square, Boya local government area, and severely beat them with machetes before handing them over to the colonial La Republique du Cameroon Gendarmerie in Boya. The notorious Chief Ewume John has a reputation for filming his acts of torture and posting them on social media. He intentionally causes mental suffering and intimidates his victims without fear of prosecution since he has the blessings of the colonial genocidal regime that sent him there for such cruel missions. Now, despite numerous complaints filed against him, no investigations have been initiated and he has never been arrested.
Moja Moja, as he is popularly known, has been dragged to the military court in Yaoundé by 7 lawyers and other human rights defenders. The lawyers include Tamfu Nganka, Tristel Richard, Nicodemus Amungwa Tanyi, Edward Lyonga Ewule, Valentine Anye Nji, Melo Ilyasu, Pagama Njong Henry Titer, Tiwa Elector Beer. Now, the lawyers have thus called on the powers that be to open an investigation, have the accused Ewume Ekobo John, also known as Chief Moja Moja, and his accomplices arrested so that they can answer for their actions. But the La Republic de Cameroon genocidal government's failure to call Ekobo John, who is also known as Moja Moja, to order suggests that La Republic authorities endorses his xenophobic attitude, and this suggests that victims of his abuses may never get justice, bemoaned Barrister Tamfo says. Now, the OMCT and the CHRD calls on the Cameroonian government to uphold its international obligations and hold the authors of torture accountable for their acts. The two organizations have been mandated by the victims to seize the United Nations Committee Against Torture, currently in its 75th season, if they are not provided with reparation and rehabilitation following an independent investigation and prompt prosecution.
Now, Baba Madu Dampolo was sometime this month brought in our news due to the allegations of Chief Moja Moja saying out of fear that he, Baba Dampolo, was after his life over a land dispute. Undaunted has learned that he is responsible for the killings of several funds in the northern zone who tried to fight against his land grabbing tendencies when Amadou Dampolo, allegedly attempted to kill Moja Moja in Boya. It was purportedly for trying to stop him from grabbing land in Tole. Now, the only people who succeeded to chase him away are the Santa people when he tried to seize the former Santa coffee estate.
Now, in fact, the list of his exile evil activities, especially in Ambazonia, is inexhaustible. An eyewitness testifies that, in court, he says, I have been to his Ndawara ranch, Boyo County, 3 times. He goes on to say there was always an old man sitting in front of his house, whether in sunshine or rain. Things started to take a downward turn for him when the old man died. Both Amazonians and Cameroonese celebrate seizure of Dampolo's assets in South Africa, but why? What do people say? They said Dampolo is a notorious lawbreaker who wanted to use his ill-gotten wealth and influence to evade accountability in South Africa. However, South Africa isn't a banana republic like La Republic de Cameroon, where the law has his eyes. The thief has been handed down and taught his lessons and asked to vacate. What is the source of Dampolo's money? Thief, now a concerned Ambazonia said under anonymity.
Now, another reaction to this recent development here is Dampolo himself. This is what the person says. Dampolo himself needs cleansing. His own house is not happy with him. From his village comb to Babanki to Undu to Tole to Esso. You cannot cause people to suffer in your family and expect to enjoy somewhere else. Now he expects us to sympathize with him, with our mother's farms that he seized, while yet another observer simply remarked, serves him right. The list of jubilant Amazonians could go on forever, but at the heart of all these jubilant utterances is the fact that Dampolo had been a close ally of colonial La Republique du Cameroon's president, Ahidjo, the longtime genocidal dictator Paul Biya, and his ruling CPDM party, where he is central committee member.
Dampolo has a reputation that precedes him in land seizures in Ambazonia. He has been a sellout in the Ambazonian quest for freedom, working for the interest of the enemy, La Republique de Cameroon. Ordinary Cameroonians who know of Dampolo's actions or have been affected by them are therefore seeing a case of karma simply taking effect. Some have accused Dampolo of using his wealth and political clout to mistreat people and seize their land. Here is the actual debacle. Now, the case is between Baba Amadou Dampolo's bankruptcy by Msibe Sicily from African Anti-Corruption Intelligence Unit from November 3rd, 2022.
Now, I'll go on to read that. It says, in the interest of justice, something that's not really common in Cameroon, but in the interest of justice, we are investigating the dispute between Baba Amadou Dampolo and his creditors in South Africa. Following a preliminary investigation in South Africa, USA, Europe, Asia, and the Cameroons, we can reveal the following. The Cameroonian billionaire Babadou Amadou Dampolo's assets in South Africa have been liquidated after his dodgy real estate company Bestinver was liquidated by the courts for owing 33,327,000 833,327,000 rupees to various banks, employees, and unpaid taxes. The case has been going on for a while through the courts in South Africa. Before he was made bankrupt, he had 2 years to prove in court why the properties should not be seized. He could have paid in his debt. According to our findings, there were more than 10 dispute resolution meetings organized to resolve the matter amicably, but Mr. Dampolo and his family members refused to play ball.
Now, South African authorities say he is the most arrogant man that have ever been met. As the wealthiest man in Francophone Africa, he had the best lawyers. The Cameroon Yellow Press and some hired incompetent social tout have been misled to public false information without investigation on what actually happened. Mr. Dampolo is known for defiling judicial and administrative rulings and violating contracts. For example, this report says he tried to trick and kick out the Vietnamese majority shareholders in Nextel mobile phone company who invested billions in Cameroon. He owns only 30% shares and the Vietnamese own 70%, but he has tried to defraud them ever since he got into that contract to own the company, strip off and take its assets to Senegal or Nigeria or elsewhere. Now, he tried to set up a mobile phone company in Nigeria. Now, in his books, the Millards and Fum Patrice and the Pande narrate how Mr. Tom Polo defrauded his company Transcomar to the tune of 11 billion, then caused its collapse using corrupt officials with 80 employees losing their jobs.
Now, this one goes on, it's still lengthy. It continues to say the Cameroon government has been pursuing Mr. Dampolo in the Mfundi High Court for billions of unpaid loans for years. Mr. Dampolo was listed by Le Messenger newspaper once as one of those who crippled Credit Agricole Bank by securing fraudulent loans, which he didn't pay back. In a case filed by Bakweri Land Claims Committee to the African Human Rights Court, the Bakweri stated that he had seized their lands formerly leased to the CDC, something common. The Cameroon government set up a commission to investigate him in 2003. The Jani Commission found that he had grabbed land in 4 administrative departments in the Northwest region, 10 times his original land given to him to set up Elba Ranch.
Now, the United Nations wrote to the Cameroon government several times demanding he should be held to account for human rights abuses and land grabbing to avail. Mr. Dampolo has created many fake companies, secured loans in their names, then dissolved them to get away with it. He set up a fake airline in the 1990s, a tourism company, Latour, and many others. He fronts for top Cameroon's government officials who use him to siphon billions through kickbacks, something that led him to be given state companies almost for free, such as their CDCT estates, his wheat flour companies, and shares in Sudicom, Sudicorton, and many others. Mr. Dampolo has never compiled or complied to any contract, court, or administrative ruling in his entire business career. The South African ruling is the first that has been enforced against him.
Now, continuing on the reading of this debacle on the bankruptcy case of Baba Madu Ahijo, it continues to say that he is like Donald Trump, a rogue businessman who thrives on money laundering, fraud, corruption, black market, lie, subterfuge, and intimidation of business partners and the authorities. And he is a member of the Central Committee of Mr. Paul Biya's ruling RPDC party and coordinator of the party for the Anglophone Northwest region. African Anti-Corruption Intelligence Unit is considering exposing his family members, top government officials, and close collaborators who are conniving with him in his numerous shady deals. The publication will be made by a coalition of top news media outlets from America, Europe, Asia, and America, similar to the Panama paper arrangement. We are watching to see what the Cameroons and South African authorities will do to hold Mr. Dampalo to account. These are the predatory economic elites who help in the looting and crumbling of our countries. Well, moving on, we have an interesting case here. Barrister Charles Taku debunking Dr. Munzu's lies.
Now, Barrister Charles Taku debunks Munzu by righting the wrongs marketed by the later against public opinion and international legal instruments bearing on the rights of the Southern Cameroons, of course, Ambazonia, on their fundamental right for self-determination. The learned lawyer doubts the sincerity and honesty of Dr. Munzu in all his outings. He goes on to state the first one. He says, I am surprised that Dr. Munzu is alone in his determination to contest the case of the Southern Cameroons. Dr. Munzu framed a false case and presented as the Southern Cameroons case. Another one, there is nothing in UN records pursuant to Articles 102 and 103 to give international approval to the series of illegal acts on which Munzu relies. The fourth one, nothing was brought before the Parliament of the Southern Cameroons for the people of the Southern Cameroons to approve the act. There is no legal authority to support the pedestrian argument of Dr. Munzu.
Well, here is a must read by Barrister Taku. It reads, I published a series in my Facebook page to counter the propaganda circulated by Dr. Simone Munzu regarding the atrocity crimes, which evidence, including open source evidence abound, have been committed and admitted as such in the Southern Cameroons against civilians and protected targets. He singled out the crime of genocide not being committed because Southern Cameroon civilians have taken refuge in part of La République du Cameroon. The point I made was that a war was not a requirement for genocide to occur against the victims in locations in La République du Cameroon where they take refuge.
Very well indeed, identifying many of them for the preparation of the enumerated acts defined in the Genocide Convention and the Rome Statute with their specific intent is enough. There are open sources evidence of administrative orders from administrators, political, traditional and religious leaders in Mfundi and some parts of La République du Cameroon, specifically targeting Southern Cameroon civilians based on their Southern Cameroon's national identity to be subjected to conditions of life that meet the threshold of the enumerated act. Many have died in official and private dungeons in part of La République du Cameroon without due process. The abduction of hundreds of thousands of Southern Cameroon civilians from their ancestral homes to places of detention in La République du Cameroon and subjecting them to conditions of life meeting the threshold of the enumerated act is sufficient for the specific intent to be inferred.
The torching of more than 460 settlements, burning the elderly, the weak and children of the group, and the evisceration of their specific cultural identity, the desecration of their places of worship, policies using rape to humiliate and impose conditions of life meeting the threshold of enumerated by the convention and the salute is enough. Everyone has listened to statements in the media, signed orders from civilians and military commanders, which satisfy the requirements of specific intent. The attack and crimes which were committed on the students of the University of Boya, the cutting off the internet for 3 months, targeting the group and specifically targeting members of the group for murder in communities where persons of La Republic du Cameroon are residing, such as towns in the southern Cameroons, are evidence from which specific intent can be inferred. I was a member of an independent team of experts who submitted a report which was translated into 12 languages, widely reported in the international media here. I know what the threshold for the proof of specific intent is.
And he went on to say, I made a public statement from the floor of the ICC and before international journalists that genocide was ongoing in the southern Cameroons and that an international response was required to stop it. The situation has aggravated today. It is a pity that Dr. Munzo provided what he called a response without the entire series I published in response to his audio statement. He goes on to say, my reaction is warranted to ensure that such ill-conceived statements do not discourage the urgent international intervention I have requested to investigate and punish the perpetrators of the atrocity crimes which are going on in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. Now he goes on to say these crimes include the crime of genocide. The report was launched and received considerable media coverage all over the globe, with CNN international coverage. It is in 4 of their top news shows.
Now, Dr. Munzu may not be aware of the public and historic records. Barrister Charles Taku continues to say, of available evidence on the basis of which the specific intents of the masterminds of genocide in the southern Cameroons may be inferred, the public statements of Isa Chiroma Owonu Nguni, Ernest Obama, Okalia Belai, and others mirror the evidence which was presented in international courts and tribunals to prove a key element of crimes. With the development of technological intelligence such as intercepts of military radio communications, the use of military justice to target persons based on the enumerated factors, and this includes the use of genocide apologists and deniers to conceal the crime. Following on my series on the apology of atrocities crimes, which have been widely documented and admitted by La Republic du Cameroon against southern Cameroons, Dr. Munzu betrayed an understanding of the jurisprudence of international courts and tribunals. He arrogantly posited that academics and international law experts are not authorities in discussing the crimes committed by La Republic du Cameroon. He specifically cited Professors Carlson Ayangwe and Tata Mentam, who have distinguished records of publishing which Dr. Munzer does not possess. His statement is casual, pedestrian, and secular. One of the sources of international law is Opinio Juris.
Now, he also dismissed the opinion of Lincoln and Kofi Annan. His views on the requirement of the crime of genocide leads me to believe that he has not read the Lincoln and the fact that he is who developed the law on the crime of genocide. Professor Tata Mentem has. That is why he is referred to him. On Kofi Annan in Akayesu, the ICTR trial chamber pointed to the customary law source of genocide, that is the 1948 and 1954 conventions on the prevention of the crime of the genocide and the UN Secretary General's report to the Security Council. Kofi Annan, Professor Ayangwe, and Tata Mentam are competent to provide opinions on the genocide in southern Cameroon.
Now, on the Southern Cameroon's case, Dr. Munzu framed the false case and presented as the Southern Cameroon's case, which Professor Ayangwe and Tata Mentem have published. Dr. Munzu has not, and audio messages are not a substitute for scholarly publications. In the past 6 months, I am among a team of experts and professionals who have submitted reports to the UN and the international community that the threshold for the crime of genocide has been met in the case of the Uyghurs and Ukraine. I made a proclamation from the floor of the ICC before international press in the case of the Southern Cameroons. I am surprised that Dr. Munzu is alone in his determination to contest the case of the Southern Cameroons. La République du Cameroon experts who have written on the subject, such as Lekene Dongfak on Le Fédéralisme Camerounais, Fabian Cote, and others, have not given his pedestrian argument a consideration. The legality of the plebiscite and its constituency with Article 76 of the UN is a significant life issue in international scholarship circles. However, the Southern Cameroon's case is around the enforcement of Article 1608, which was not done and is a matter consistent with international law.
Now, the instruments of independence and sovereignty were not handed over to the people and leaders of the Southern Cameroons by Great Britain. Great Britain left in the evening of 30th September 1961 after handing over to Ahidjo and were therefore not present in Boya on the 1st of October 1961, the date fixed by the UN Resolution 1608 for the independence and supposed union to occur. There is nothing in the UN records pursuant to Articles 102 and 103 to give international approval to the series of illegal acts on which Munzu relies. Nothing was brought before the Parliament of the Southern Cameroons for the people of the Southern Cameroons to approve the act. There is no legal authority to support the pedestrian argument of Dr. Munzu. Now, in continuation of the series on classifying and clarifying the jurisprudential record on the misrepresentation of the legal and factual record on the factual and legal requirements for the crime of genocide to be found to have been committed in Southern Cameroons. He goes on to say, I have pasted below the statement of law by the trial chamber of the ICTR in prosecutor versus Akayesu. Now, after reading the relevant paragraphs of the judgment, it is easy to come to the conclusion that the fact that some Southern Cameroon civilians sought refuge in La République du Cameroon is not relevant element in making a determination about the crime of genocide.
The crime of genocide would still be committed no matter where members of the group fled to, and the genocide would be said to be committed if conditions of life imposed on them point to one of enumerated acts. Have their homes, villages, and subsistent economy have been torched with the dollars specialists to destroy them in whole or in part, an enumerated group? Or can the special intent be inferred from the enumerated act, targeting specifically Southern Cameroons as opposed to La République du Cameroon citizens in the territory or elsewhere where they are found? Can the specific intent be reasonably inferred from the public speeches made by the perpetrators, for example, media statements, administrative statements, speeches, and directives directed against the groups or even a single member of the group from which the requisite specific intent can be inferred? I have listened to a pathetic apology of the atrocity crimes committed against Southern Cameroons by Dr. Munzu, in particular, his allegations that masculine of members of the group is a requirement for the crime of genocide.
Now, conclusively, you can say that this reasoning is inconsistent with the law and the jurisprudence of international criminal tribunals and courts. Dr. Muzu miscomprehends the law on this issue. Furthermore, conflates the widespread and systematic requirements for contextual elements for crimes against humanity with context elements of genocide. Now, he may not be aware of the jurisprudence of international courts and tribunals, many which occurred in cases in which, of course, he participated in, that crimes against humanity and genocide may occur outside an armed conflict. Well, that was well said, right?
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
All right, end of the year is always a moment for the balancing of accounts at Njangi houses and different organizations. Now, this is no exception to occultic organizations as well. Now, these members of secret societies are now using coins as a bait to get victims. Why do so many coins at Road Junction? Is one question we are asking today. Now, last week in Douala, a young man picked money on the street, bought something to eat, but died. Why did he die? Obviously, because he picked something from the street. Now, the festive season is here, and you have to be very careful. Now, we also have a woman, Undaunted, gathered that another woman ran mad because people refused to collect the money she was given. How terrible.
A child died 2 weeks ago at the economic capital of La Republic du Cameroon, Douala, after picking a 100 franc CFA coin. This unfortunate primary school pupil ate 50 franc CFA from the money and dropped the rest in his school bag behind the bag. The child arrived in class, her school bus stuck on her back full of money. The child died mysteriously. Now, the news of this incident is no news to those who have a nose for news in southern Cameroon. 5 days ago, a suspicious lady in her 40s was intercepted at the Mile 7 neighborhood of Mankomba Mender, 2 local government area. She confessed that she is on a mission to kill as many children as possible by dropping coins at roadside. The inhabitants of Bamenda were like saying, oh, that is happening is true, as they saw 100 franc CFA littered at different streets. And we just brought you reports of people looking for these coins, both drivers, both business people looking for these coins. And all of a sudden, these coins are thrown on streets. Peculiar of the coin was that all the coins had a particular side facing the sun. There's a video here of that.
Una look out to December don't start. They don't throw away money. The other time to see video for Douala where some get to talk about sweets. And 100 and this they don't spray them the whole road. They don't spray them the whole road 100. I see until for that other shot now say my sense nobody don't come for video and if you check them all the number that they look up for the 100 them. So nothing will see any morning time. Oh, you think they don't go school. If they come back now, they go just see and so just pick them a bag. May any man tell the pikin no. People they day out for some business. This December.
Parents are now in panic and are on an educational assignment to advise their children not to pick a France on the road or footpath. These are very familiar cases in Africa. The ritual thing is very familiar in Africa. And we at Undaunted are here to give you the information for your security. So parents are advised to tell their children, advise their children not to pick even a France on the floor, on the road or footpath. It is now a duty for parents to provide for their children not to fall for the temptation of picking coins as a result of hunger or whatever.
All right, now a driver killed a vehicle set ablaze by gunmen. Now, don't act undaunted whether some of the actions on the home front are adding to fight to push La Republic to Cameroon colonial occupants of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia or subtracting. But one thing is very obvious, especially when considered from the angle of this balance that says fish is caught, but when the waters are dirty, the land of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia can be likened now to the dirty waters. The land has been polluted by the ongoing war.
The war has transformed Amazonia to a jungle where the strong dictate and sets the standards, and the weak are just subjected to any types of treatments provided the strong meet their goal. Now, inasmuch as the fight for the liberation of Amazonia is divine, detractors won't last long. Groups have been formed to sabotage the struggle, while others are using the war for personal gains. No matter what goes around comes around for those using the Amazonian Liberation War to settle scores and betray others.
A driver has been killed with a vehicle set on fire, with 2 others kidnapped by gunmen in the early hours of today, November 24th, in Awing village of Santa local government area. Who are these gunmen committing such an act? What could have been the offense of the deceased.
Today, Thursday, November 24th, is christened in Awing village a Black Thursday following the killing of two persons, abduction of two others to an unknown destination, and setting a Toyota Hilux vehicle ablaze. The population of Awing village are still in shock and consternation with the killing of a popular driver and his vehicle set ablaze. The macabre act happened during the early hours as everybody was bracing up to start the day. The kill driver at press time is identified only by his nickname Sarah, and you can see a picture of him, a video of him of Sarah, who is already dead at the moment.
Now, the hunting after the life of Sarah is not just a matter, and his death today is not by accident. It is a premeditated act with Sarah as a prime target, given that months back, Sarah survived a poison attempt against his life, but his son never did. The son died after consuming the poison food meant to wipe out the entire Sarah's family. No group has claimed responsibility for today's killing and abduction in Awing village. What is left is for the bereaved families to bury their death, while family members of the abducted too are on their knees praying for the safe return of their son, brother, uncle, and father. And when we return, we would give you the editorial.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best.
In our editorial tonight, we'll look at a message from Deacon to San Wilfred to Ambazonians focused on exposing the axis of treachery, denunciation of the irregular RC impeachment, and the way forward. Justice and judgment are the habitation of thy throne. Mercy and faith shall go before thy face. Psalm 89, verse 14. Dear Amazonians, it is unfortunate that our egos and ambitions have brought us to this pass. I am not surprised though, because such things were to be expected. The irony lies in the fact that the Restoration Council, that has so blatantly violated the interim constitution of Amazonia, is complaining and impeaching the president for allegedly doing the same and for financial irregularities that, according to the impeachment document, are still under investigations. I have not come here to defend President Sacco. He should have, and I trust he does have the facts and the means to defend himself without it bringing the struggle to a standstill as the enemy and those working for them want. My reservation on this supposed impeachment are profound and are based on the following. One, that the present impeachment is consistent with Elvis Cometa's avowed mission to evict Dr. Samuel Ikome Sacco from power, which charge Cometa started executing in 2018, as this paper has painfully detailed. Two, the RC has indicted and found the president guilty of the financial irregularities and has impeached him, but has spared Chris Anu, who was sworn as testified by the impeachment document that he brokered the deal with La Republique du Cameroon and the CDC. According to the impeachment documents, the RC has problems with the president because he allegedly did not involve the RC and his vice president. Would it have been right if the president had involved his vice in what is supposed to be an act of treachery and treason? 3. Was the president invited to testify? Did he appear? If he did not, why not? 4. Why did the Restoration Council, the RC, not act swiftly when Chris Anu suggested treason, demanding that the interim government, where 90% of active Amazonians in the struggle have gathered, be dissolved in favor of compromised individuals in prison? The RC by this is biased and unreliable. 5. The Restoration Council, by its conduct, procedural lapses, vouching for opponents of the president as expressed in Honorable Bruno's and Honorable Agnes audios, in which they assured Crisano that the council was working to defend his interest, dissolve the interim government, and called on Amazonians to clamor for the president's impeachment. Lastly, the impeachment process, hearings, void of investigations, was clearly rushed to meet a deadline and to avoid the ASSC. Evidence is found in the impeachment document where it states clearly that investigations are still ongoing regarding financial irregularities. Dear Amazonians, it does not suffice to acknowledge the existence of a problem. It is wiser to get to the root of the matter for the solution thereof to be long lasting. Therefore, justice cannot be established on falsehood, rather, it must be predicated on the truth. The Amazonian quest is predicated on the truth that injustice was done to us in 1961, that we were forced into an unworkable union against provisions of UN Charter and other international instruments, and most importantly, against the wish of our forebears, against our wish. If therefore does not go well for us that in our desire to restore justice, we engage in falsehood, treachery, and treasonous activities, when we do this, we build a foundation on which evil and wickedness will thrive in the nascent state. Great has been my shock to leave the problem rocking the interim government from prison. I am as close to it as you all are, except that I cannot communicate freely. Before, I thought it was due to lack of communications, but when I got closer and tried to meditate, I discovered it was much deeper. But what is the problem? In our subsequent editorials, we'll bring to you his answer on the problem, what it is. We've come to the end of this necessary piece to Amazonians from Pat to Sang Wilfred, and also the end of our editorial for today. If you want more of such enlightenment, kindly visit our website at www.abcambertv.com for more. Subscribe, become a club member, and a part of this winning strategy. Final payment details on your screen. I am Star Smart, reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amber TV.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa. With untold stories, Africa's best.
All right, thank you so much, Star Smart, for that beautiful, awesome report there. Now, moving on, the forefathers of Ambazonia is one point of their ambition and political growth were mistaken that associating with the La Republic du Cameroon government would be beneficial to Southern Cameroon. The stalemate and economic and social backwardness being experienced by the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia as a result of yesterday's attempt of trying to belong can never be overemphasized. Today, some Ambazonians are expressing disbelief with the glaring neglect of Ambazonia, with the number of fans, web influencers, and artists taken to Qatar through the colonial football body FECAFOOT. Some Ambazonians are angry that an Ambazonia food Dennis Zhang, the author of the slogan, "We go take the cup," is one of the right persons to be taken to Qatar for the World Cup, but was never taken. Let's get one of his videos.
Go take that cup. Go take the cup. The cup, first of all, at the way, that cup not supposed to come for Cameroon and then go back. Let's see Cameroon go back how. We're supposed to take the cup.
They should be reminded that they are Amazonians and not Cameroonese. Well, that video was hilarious, but it's unfortunate that if you are not aware of the marginalization going on, then I mean, you must just be having your side for the first time. This disgruntled Amazonians should have known by now that.
We the people, ABC Amber TV, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation. The voice of the voiceless, the voice of Ambazonia, connecting the world from Africa with untold stories, Africa's best.
Well, they should be reminded that they are Ambazonians and not Cameroonese. These disgruntled Ambazonians should have known by now that fighting to belong or associate with La Republic du Cameroon is not healthy for Ambazonia. How does it be of concern to Ambazonians if nobody's taken to Qatar? Anyways, Ambazonians are categoric against him for begging, obviously, to belong. They are unable to win against Switzerland. People are thinking, how would they bring the cup home? Would they steal the cup? Maybe yes, they are the indomitable lions.
All right, Fu Denny Zhang, an Ambazonia web influencer, is the most talked about person now in Southern Cameroon. Of course, from the video you watched, you can see that he generated the slogan, "We must take the cup," a slogan many believe is quite motivating for the football team of neighboring La Republique du Cameroon in Qatar. Some southern Cameroonians are disgruntled that food genies is not part of the 25 sports chosen by illegal Fecafoot to support the La Republique du Cameroon team during the FIFA World Cup that is currently happening in Qatar. To begin with, in line with hosting a successful World Cup, the Supreme Committee of the Qatar Heritage Foundation decided to offer fans who are passionate about football but do not have the means of traveling to have the unique experience of watching the FIFA World Cup in Qatar by offering them an all expense paid trip to Qatar. That includes accommodation, flight tickets, and local transportation. Worth noting is that this doesn't entail watching only the games of your country. The selected fans will have to watch almost all the games of the group stage of the competition.
Now, an Amazonian team is not part of the current World Cup that is taking place in Qatar, which makes it but normal that no Amazonian web influencer deserves the magnanimity of the Supreme Committee of the Qatar Heritage Foundation. All the different Amazonian voices on social media clamoring for a supposed sport for Fu Dennis Zhang are simply making a mockery of themselves, for Ambazonia is not part of La Republique du Cameroon. A right thinker in the case of Fu Dennis Zhang says that Amazonian forefathers put a lot of energy in the days of old to identify themselves with the people of La Republique du Cameroon, but all what they got in return was disappointment, betrayal, pain, and hardship. Any further attempt to glamour for belonging with the colonial La Republique du Cameroon government is insane. Food Dennis Zhang is certainly the most trending web influencer now, and his talent should rather be geared towards selling the image of Ambazonia and nothing much. Meanwhile, just maybe the indomitable lions would need a thorough massage like to pull through to win the World Cup, like what you're going to see in this video below. Oh, the video would come up and then you see what we're talking about, the kind of massage the indomitable lions would need. Something like this, because right now they look a little too dead, like this lion unable to get up to their feet. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate. I think they really need the massage.
I say so too.
Meanwhile, information reaching Undaunted gathered that an angry La Republique du Cameroon youths are having a protest in Fecafoot just to show disappointment. But the question is, what were La Republique du Cameroon fans expecting playing with Switzerland? Switzerland, which is the second home to genocidal dictator Paul Biya, Switzerland, where all stolen billions by Paul Biya and his corrupt system are banked. Was it better to lose the match and save the stolen billions, or win the match and have these billions freeze in Swiss bank accounts? Oh well, La Republique du Cameroon has no choice. Well, let's see the video of the protest.
Now, in that video, you saw colonial and genocidal French Cameroon citizens gather and throw stones at the family house of their brother Mbolo, who plays for the Swiss national team and scored the goal that gave victory to the Swiss over La Republic du Cameroon. Just imagine what they would have done to Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians living in their country if it were a Southern Cameroonian playing for the Swiss national team and scored the victory goal against French Cameroon, his own country. A manhunt for all Ambazonians should have been spontaneous, as was the case in 1992 when Burundi won La Republique du Cameroon's Paul Biya in presidential elections, and yet some useless Anglophiles slaves are out there still begging to be slaves to these colonial barbarians.
Now, a lot of information concerning this loss that happened today. Well, we also got a pastor who actually gave a prophecy that the Cameroons, La Republic du Cameroon, would lose to Switzerland. And he says this losing is divine. He says Cameroon doesn't know what is coming next. In fact, he ended up by saying God is not mad. Let's have that video.
Jokes. Cameroon is joking. They don't know what is coming. I think maybe the match will sit them up. Sudan Cameroon match will expose Cameroon flaws. They are joking.
All right, so here still on sports. It was a moment so brief that the thousands of fans inside the Khalifa International Stadium on Wednesday could easily have missed it. But a moment, the time it took for the photographers amassed in front of Germany's World Cup team.
Well, was all it needed for the four-time winner. That moment it took the team to snap a picture, the Germany World Cup team to snap a picture. It was all really that was needed for the four-time winners to send a message to soccer's world governing body. And what did they say? We'll have Gabellis tell you more.
Latest world sports. Football. Germany players cover mouths in protest against FIFA clampdown on free speech in One Love armband row. It was a moment so brief that the thousands of fans inside the Khalifa International Stadium on Wednesday could easily have missed it. But a moment, the time it took for the photographers amassed in front of Germany's World Cup team to snap a picture was all it needed for the four-time winners to send a message to soccer's world governing body. Germany's starting 11 all posed with their right hands in front of their mouths, and within minutes, the image was circulating widely on social media. And as Germany kicked off their World Cup campaign against Japan in Group E, the team's social media feed confirmed that the gesture was designed as a protest to FIFA's decision to ban the One Love armband that many European captains had been hoping to wear in Qatar. It was a game that produced another World Cup shock as Japan came from behind to win 2-1. Before the tournament, captains from England, Wales, Belgium, the Netherlands, Switzerland, Germany and Denmark had planned to wear the armbands at the World Cup, which features a striped heart in different colors to represent all heritages, backgrounds, genders, and sexual identities. Before FIFA made it clear on Monday, players would be yellow-carded. On Wednesday, the German Football Federation DFB released a series of tweets shortly after the game had kicked off, indicating that FIFA had prevented them from using their voices to speak up at the World Cup for issues they felt passionate about, hence the protest. We wanted to use our captain's armband to take a stand for values that we hold in the Germany national team, diversity and mutual respect, the DFB said. Together with other nations, we wanted our voices to be heard. It wasn't about making a political statement. Human rights are non-negotiable. That should be taken for granted, but it still isn't the case. That's why this message is so important to us. Denying us the armband is the same as denying us a voice, added the DFB. We stand by our position. CNN has contacted FIFA for comment. Prior to countries announcing their captains would not wear the armband in Qatar, FIFA had brought forward its own no discrimination campaign and said all 32 captains would have the opportunity to wear an armband linked to the campaign. The following games will be played tomorrow in the second round of the Qatar World Cup. Wales will battle things out with Iran. Qatar will exchange lessons with Senegal. The Netherlands will lock horns with Ecuador, while England will play the last game of the day against the United States of America. World Cup 2022. Japan manager Haji Moriyasu hails historic victory over Germany. Football has a funny way of bringing up narratives, and two Japan players who play their club football in Germany conspire to score the goals that defeated the Europeans 2-1 at the World Cup. After Saudi Arabia's seismic victory over Argentina on Tuesday, this was another huge shock in Qatar. It left Germany's players silently slipping away from Khalifa International Stadium at full time, and the Japan squad celebrating in front of their ecstatic following. It is a dream come true, winning goal scorer Takuma Sano told BBC Radio 5 Live. We knew we could do it. We had a dream like this. We watched the Saudi game and thought we can do it. Then we just did it today. Skipper and former Southampton defender Maya Yoshida said, "Big win, massive win, but it is still tough to go through. It is absolutely amazing though. We have to be humble and very careful. We present Asia and many supporters from Asia supporting us today. This is the beauty of football." Gab Ellison reporting from Undaunted, ABC Amber News.
Tonight's Undaunted, and with that sports report, we've come to tonight's end of Undaunted. But before we go, we'll give you the highlights of our major stories.
Ambazonians spend now more than before due to shortage of coins. Can the African Union forces La Republic du Cameroon occupational forces are forced to withdraw from Ambazonia? We brought this to you and gave you the answer. Francophones have never dialogued with Southern Cameroons, who they consider as slaves, and Ambazonians risk being used for rituals this period.
Today on Undaunted, we got you the story that says Chief Moja Moja beats human rights violation record. Also today, a driver was killed, a vehicle set ablaze by gunmen in Awing village. Ambazonians are now part of La Republic du Cameroon. No need striving to belong is a story we also got for you today. And in sports, we told you that Germany players covers mouth in protest against FIFA clampdown on free speech in One Love Ambad Row. All right, that was it for tonight's Undaunted. On behalf of my co-anchor Stersmat and the entire Undaunted crew, we say good night and God bless you.